This week on the Dawg Show, the UAB Blazers travel to Athens, Georgia to take on the Georgia Bulldogs. So grab you a cold beverage and let's go. As a Dawg fan, I want to start off this week's show by sending up some prayers for Nick Chubb. Everybody now has heard about his, knee injury. It was gruesome enough that Monday Night Football would not even show the replays. Apparently, he's got to have surgery. It's a season-ending injury, and it's on the same knee. He ended up missing most of the season back in 2015 when he was a sophomore at Georgia. So prayers for Nick Chubb. Hopefully he heals well and is able to come back stronger and better next year.
Yeah, Mika went low there. It's just a bad deal all the way around. You got to hate it for Chubb. Everybody just talks about how great of a guy he is. And I mean, he was already at 64 yards on 10 carries, so he was well on his way to having a big game last night.
And a big season. He's had a good season so far.
He's a top 3 back in the NFL for sure.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that sucks, man. Get well.
Get well. So, man, I'll tell you, this past weekend in Sanford Stadium, there were some nervous dogs out there.
Down 14-3 at the half.
Wow. It almost had some, we called it in the preview of the Southeastern Conference. There's always that one game, and we talked about Missouri last year. It was like deja vu. I felt it was bad.
Well, it was bad till the third quarter. And then, they made the adjustments they need to make, and they took over. So that's what good teams do, right?
I think so too. But again, last year, Spencer Rattler finished the season strong. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he's got a couple good receiving weapons around him, but he doesn't have all the weapons. And I think he's going to be successful at the next level. I think he actually has the skill set to be able to play.
I mean, he'll get a look for sure. Somebody look at him. He'll get a shot somewhere. I mean, look at the quarterbacks. Look at poor Zach Wilson over there at the Jets.
And Justin Fields still playing.
Oh, man, yeah. So, look, the kid's got an arm for sure. He's not afraid to throw it. I mean, he's got some good football IQ. He'll get a look.
Yeah, he's definitely got the footwork, and he's good at avoiding. He feels that pressure in the pocket. He knows when he needs to run and tuck it, and he knows when he needs to get rid of the ball. So, he's going to have to show up at the combine, of course, and pro days and all that stuff. So,
yeah.
But he'll be fine. I actually, we had all these concerns about South Carolina's defense because the way UNC just destroyed them in that first game. I was not expecting that out of them. And so I think there's some hope for them this season because some of these SEC teams, they're struggling.
Yeah, they need to get Florida. They need to take care of Florida, and they beat Tennessee last year, so maybe they can get them again. Actually, I think they closed the season last year beating Tennessee and Florida.
Yep.
Something like that. So, I mean, they're not going to the SEC championship anytime soon, but doesn't mean they can't find them a nice bowl to wind up in.
They'll end up with a respectable season, even though they didn't earn the right to wear Carolina on their chest after that UNC game.
Yeah. But overall, tell the two halves, down 14-3 at the half, and then Georgia comes out in third quarter right off the rip. Rah makes a big catch, and next thing you know, they put 2 touchdowns in the third quarter and score one more in the fourth quarter, and they blank them 21-0 in the second half. So
I saw a stat in the first half. Carson Beck only threw one ball down the field in the second half in the third quarter. He had those 2 big ones. You just mentioned Ra Thomas, and was the other one to Lovett? I can't remember.
I think it was Lovett because I think Rosemary Jack Saints got his right there maybe it was Jack Saints. I don't know. Maybe Rosemary was the first one, but however it goes. Carson threw for 269 yards, 27 for 35. QBR 79.5. That's a little misleading, I think. But Dejon Edwards, though, 20 carries, 118 yards, and a touchdown. That was good to see. Kendall Milton, he had to leave the game with another MCL, the same injury he had last year, so they said he's questionable. Several Bulldogs running the ball, though, but, you lose Roderick Robinson with a high ankle sprain, so he's day-to-day. But, look, they had 3 rushing touchdowns. That's what it took. That's what they did. Cash Jones got him one. Dylan Bell come up for 7 carries, 23 yards and a touchdown. So Brock Bowers, he even got him 1 rushing yard. They got to get him involved one way or another. So all in all, I think Bobo is still going to take a lot of criticism, but he schemed that game pretty good. He had guys open. He had guys open. And once Carson settled in there in the second half, he did fairly well. I mean, look, Kirby trusted him enough to keep him in there the whole game, let him figure it out, and he did. He figured it out. He didn't throw any interceptions. He didn't have any touchdowns, but sometimes that's just the way it goes. It was one of those SEC games, filled with sloppy, and it was what it was. They found a way to get through it, and now they get to host UAB, and we'll see if Georgia's on that big look ahead with Auburn on deck.
Well, luckily with that game, this game this week, it'll give some of those folks that are banged up, and they'll be ready to take on the heart of the SEC schedule with Auburn and Kentucky coming up.
Yeah, I was looking at the injury report after that game, and Kendall went out with the MCL, same injury he had before. Roger Robinson, high ankle sprain, so he's day-to-day. The big right tackle, Amarius Mims, he'll be out for several weeks getting the tightrope surgery, trying to get his ankle all fixed up. And I heard, Corson, the trainer, told Kirby that, it's the longest list of injuries that he's ever seen a Bulldog team have. I mean, you still got McConkey, who's probably not going to play again this week. Not that they need him, but another tight end, Pierce Sperling, his is undisclosed. Don't know what's going on with him. Left tackle, Austin Blazick, MCL sprain. He's questionable. You got your linebacker, Marvin Jones Jr. He was sick, so he's probable. And then the safety, Javon Bullard, who has been just an anchor for that defense. He suited up and didn't play with an ankle injury, and Kirby said he's probable for this weekend, but we'll see. If they want to let him rest and get ready for the SEC schedule that's coming up.
So we've got the UAB Blazers coming into Athens. This is a 7:30 game on ESPN2. Yeah, it looks like the weather's going to be sunny and about 80 degrees. Should be perfect football weather.
Head coach Trent Dilfer, he's in his first year. He was the Super Bowl champ back in Super Bowl 35 with the Baltimore Ravens. Elite quarterback coach. I heard they was asking Kirby if he really knew Dilfer, and he said, well, he really didn't know him, but he's talked to him several times, especially about some of these guys, some of these quarterbacks he was recruiting that he knew Dilfer had coached in a camp or, something like that, and he said he had a lot of respect for him. He's a great offensive mind. But the Blazers are a little underwhelming, and, they're 1-2 straight up, 1-2 against the spread, and 2 out of their 3 games that went to the over. Lack of defense is for sure a problem with UAB. Offensively, they're 42nd overall. They average 318 yards in the air, 125 yards on the ground, and they score about 30 points a game. Now, that's against a North Carolina A&T and a Georgia Southern and a Louisiana team. Not good. Not good at all. They played one quarterback all year, Jacob Zeno. He's a second-year guy out of Baylor. He transferred over from Baylor. 98 for 122, 956 yards, 6 touchdowns, and 3 picks. But he likes to run a little bit, too. He's the second leading rusher on the team. He's carried the ball 30 times for 94 yards. He averages 3.1 yards a carry. He's got 2 touchdowns on the ground. So, he's a really good athlete, something that Dilfer really, really likes. And obviously, he trusts him. Through these first 3 games, he hasn't played any other quarterback. So that'll tell you a little bit.
They've got a couple of receivers that's been putting up some yardage as well.
Yes, Samario Rudolph, 14 for 127 and a touchdown. And was that Tehan Palmer, 14 for 148 and a touchdown. And Iverson Hooks, 10. He's got 10 receptions, 106 yards. He's got 2 touchdowns. And he loves his tight end, big tight end, Bryce Damus, 12 catches for 108 yards and a touchdown. So, he looks for his tight end, and he's not afraid to throw the ball to the running back side of the backfield. He's threw to 3 or 4 of them for 24 catches already. So for a season total, looking at their offense, they have 956 yards passing and 375 yards on the ground. So, it's not quite a 3-to-1 ratio, but that doesn't bode well for them coming to play the Bulldogs, in my opinion. Quarterback's going to try to throw the ball. He's going to be in trouble.
UAB is averaging 30.3 points per game, 440.3 yards per game, but they're also giving up 32 points per game.
Yeah, 89th in total defense. Give up 189 yards in the air and 190 yards rushing on the average. So that is a problem. in itself. You look at their leading tacklers, their safety, Kejuan Swoops has 19 tackles. They got a linebacker in Jackson Bratton, 19 tackles. He has 2 sacks. And then their top cornerback, Mac McWilliams, has 17 tackles. When you're giving up 190 yards on the average to this Bulldogs team, it's going to be a long day for the Blazers.
I agree.
Long day.
Yeah, Georgia's averaging 39 points per game right now. That's gone down from they were mid-40s after the first 2 games. So, yeah, I don't think it's going to bode very well for UAB.
No, I mean, overall, Kirby's going for 20 wins in a row here. Since 2021, Georgia is 14-0 versus all non-conference opponents, outscoring them 583 to 139 points.
I saw a pretty cool stat earlier. It said, because I was wondering, I was like, man, so, we've been doing this show every week, and every week it's been a home game.
Yeah.
So I looked it up. The last schedule that featured 4 home games to start the season was in 1999.
Yeah.
And that year the Bulldogs went 4-0. And Georgia has the nation's longest active regular season winning streak in FBS right now at 30 games.
Well, Kirby's definitely got the boys on a roll again. Like I said last time, the sky's not falling in Athens. This is kind of what we expected to see out of this team. You got new quarterback, new offensive coordinator. This schedule just gives them 4 quote-unquote warm-up games, even if you want to count South Carolina, which was a get-my-attention game after the first half.
I agree.
Last week finished, the first quarter of the season? First 3 games?
Yeah.
So, you're 1 quarter in to this 3-peat year, hopefully for Georgia fans. And the sky's not falling. It's not all bad. It's not all bad. It's not as bad as it looks. No, they're not.
They had some adversity, but
Yeah.
just a little bit.
But I mean, they beat UT Martin 48-7. They beat Ball State 45-3. I mean, yeah, the line was 50 against UT Martin. That's whatever, and then you're giving up 42.5 to Ball State. You damn near cover that, miss it by half a point.
Right. The bettors are not happy with Georgia. They
No.
covered in the first 3 games.
No, Georgia's not covered the first 3 games, and all 3 of them went under. But again, those are huge spreads. Those are 6-7 touchdown spreads. I mean, that's, even Alabama didn't cover all them big spreads back when they were rolling. The bookmakers put them up there for a reason. That's why they got them big old fancy hotels, even if they are getting hacked.
Oh, yeah.
But overall, we'll look toward the Georgia offense, and Carson Beck on the year, he's 71 for 96, 846 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. His longest pass of the season is 54 yards. That's a little, I don't know if that's necessarily alarming, and you've heard a lot of the pundits say, oh, it's Bobo's play calling, this and that and the other. Carson, this is only his 4th game right here. You look at the running backs. Kendall Milton leads the way in carries with 23 carries for 96 yards. He's got 1 touchdown, but Dejon Edwards, I don't even think he played that first game, right?
No, he's hurt.
And he's got 20 carries now for 118 yards. He's averaging 6 yards a carry. He's got a touchdown. So, there's a lot of Bulldogs that's got rushing attempts. Roger Robinson, he's carried the ball 15 times for 89 yards. He's got 2 TDs. Dylan Bell, the receiver, carried the ball 10 times for 51 yards. That was a little trick up the sleeve 2 weeks ago, Ball State. He looked good, too. He looked good, yeah. Even Carson Beck, he's rushed 13 times for 31 yards and a touchdown.
Don't forget Cash Jones.
Old Cash Jones, 7 carries, 29 yards.
He's got some touchdowns.
He's got a touchdown, yeah. Yep. He's got 1 running and 1 receiving, I believe. So good for Cash.
They're definitely spreading the ball around. There was a lot of concerns about Bobo and his play calling and is it going to be the days of old with Bobo?
Yeah.
I don't think we've really seen what we're going to see. And I know South Carolina in the second half, they kind of mixed it up a little bit, started throwing the ball downfield. Those first 2 games, we've already talked about those. There was just kind of vanilla, grounded pound, running back by committee.
And, honestly, if they would have jumped out to a lead against South Carolina, I think you would have saw the same vanilla stuff again. I mean, this is the SEC, and this schedule coming up is a whole lot of SEC games, and it's tough.
Yeah, and I really like the fact that, in those, it wasn't even in the second half and the 3rd and 4th quarters when they were putting in second, third string guys on the line and in the secondary and letting them run the ball. They're getting real game time, playing experience, full speed, hitting each other. And I think that's super valuable because it's not just trash time, and that's going to come back around and it's going to be awesome later on in the year when we really need them.
Yeah, you got a lot of young guys on the offensive side of the ball, and you got a lot of, guys that come out of the portal that are new to this system, that are new to the way Kirby does stuff. So
new to the SEC.
Absolutely. So it's good that I'm sitting here looking at the list of guys who's caught passes, and there's, I don't know, 15 or 16 different guys on there.
Right.
And that's great to have that kind of depth and experience.
Across 3 quarterbacks.
Absolutely. 3 quarterbacks. So, and I'm sure, they go out here and take care of business in the first half. I'm sure you'll get to see Brock in the second half, maybe the fourth quarter, maybe even Gunner. Why not give them some playing time when you can afford to?
Georgia's not really a team that's going to pad numbers for Heisman.
No.
They're not.
No. Especially with Monken being gone. In my opinion, Monken, it was perfect for Stetson. He had it all set up. Stetson knew the playbook. He knew every play. He knew exactly what to do. They were on the same page. It's a whole totally different ball game here with Beck and Bobo.
4 games. He started 4 games.
So, hey, from my pocketbook, I hope he turns it on. I hope he lets him loose. But that's just not what's going to happen.
So let's talk about a couple things that we brought up a couple shows ago and also in the preview. Things that we were concerned about. One of the things that bothered me about the South Carolina game, and it was also evident in a couple other games, is the state of Georgia's kicking game right now. Their kicker missed an extra point, and he also missed a field goal. I'm a little concerned because, and maybe it's just we're so used to those being automatic over the last couple of years.
Got spoiled.
We did get spoiled.
Got spoiled for several years there. Yeah, Peyton Woodring, number 1 kicker coming out. You would expect a little bit more. And down the stretch, those missed field goals, it could be very costly. You never know when it's going to pop up and you're going to need it. Not necessarily against Auburn or Kentucky or Vandy, but, when you get down there to the cocktail party with Florida, you never know.
Rodrigo and some of those other guys bailed us out many games.
Yeah, and I'm sure Kirby's not happy about that. But he'll address it. You got a fine punter, though, in Britt Thorson. That cat, he can flat out get it. He had 3 last week for 111 yards. He averaged 37 yards a punt. So he got one of them that went 44 yards. He's a weapon.
There was some concerns about right from the get-go when Jared Zirkle basically kicked the opening kickoff out of bounds. I think that kind of shocked a lot of folks. And then, like we said, the freshman kicker, Peyton Woodring. He's a freshman. Had some pretty big shoes to fill, of course. But, yeah, I'm curious to see what happens. So one of the other concerns I had was on the defensive side. South Carolina, Leggett was, basically unstoppable in the first half. Whatever they threw to him, he caught it. We know Javon Bullard is still out. His backup, David Daniel Sisavon.
He better learn where to play. He's playing man while everybody else is playing, not man. He was all over the place. I heard something about him today on one of the shows I was listening to. His PFF grade was just terrible.
But at the same time, he's getting valuable playing time, but it could have cost us, right?
Could have.
So I'm a little concerned because, there's more than one side to coverage, right? So what happens if the other guy goes down and when Bullard's back, So I'm hoping that we've got a little bit more depth back there in the safety and the corner positions.
Yeah, they gave up 256 yards to South Carolina last week receiving wise. So that's not what you typically see out of them.
No.
But again, these guys are young, they're gonna have to learn. And, Kirby's not just gonna let them get out there and just keep messing up time after time, especially DBs. If anybody's going to coach the DBs up, it's going to be Kirby.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jeff, I saw the line's been moving around a little bit this week. Right now, I'm seeing Georgia's favored minus 42 with an over and under of 53.5.
Yeah, that's 54.5 now. It's moving back and forth. I was sitting here looking at it while we were talking. So they've taken, the books, they took some money on Georgia. UAB just got flat out embarrassed last week at home. As a 2-point favorite, Louisiana just came in there and beat them by 20 points, put 41 on them. So I don't look for UAB to do very much at all. There was one stat I heard about South Carolina last week. They got to the Georgia 40 3 times. They scored 2 times. They didn't score the other time, but that's as far as they got. I don't know if UAB will cross the 50-yard line.
Yeah, they always will sneak a field goal or two in there. But, the reason I'm gun shy is I called this same way the first 2 games, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, Georgia's averaging 42, 43 points a game. These other teams may get a field goal, and, Georgia didn't cover any of it. So, and they've been under all 3 games. So,
yeah,
I could see where Vegas is probably taking a lot of under bets right now for this game as well.
Yeah, and you got to think about all these injuries, too, on the Georgia side of the ball. I mean, what does Kirby really want to go out there and do? He wants to come out of the game healthy.
Yeah, I see it again. I mean, this is almost a mirror analysis of the first 2 games. It's going to be still running back by committee.
Yeah. He's
probably not going to really expend much effort with Edwards. We probably won't even see Milton. I don't know. I think the results are going to be very similar to what we saw in the first 2 games.
I got Georgia winning 35-10.
35-10. I was thinking more 40-3.
Yeah. So we're all right there within 45 points. So I got it going under, and I don't have them covering. So this will be the game they win 55-0. Probably 2 or 3 pick sixes, God knows how many fumbles, and the defense might outscore the offense. I wouldn't be surprised about that either.
Between the differences in halves last week with South Carolina, I would not be surprised if Georgia comes out driving like they were.
A little more aggressive play calling.
Second half.
Yeah.
Just to keep up that pace.
When they came out running like that, Carson looked like a whole totally different quarterback. The offense got in sync. They got in rhythm, and that's what it takes.
Right.
This defense, as bad as South Carolina's defense was, although they played great in the first half of the ball game, UAB's defense is really bad. Like, really bad. And they hadn't seen anything like they're about to see right here. Again, I don't know what Kirby would have to prove in this game. He wants to come out healthy. He's got all these SEC games coming up. They don't have a week off until October 21st. It's a month from now.
And they're traveling.
Yeah, and they got to go on the road. So Win the ball game. Points doesn't matter right now. Just win the game. Keep everybody healthy and get ready to go to Jordan-Hare on September 30th.
All right, guys. Well, that's our show for the week. Please remember to like and subscribe. Please provide some comments and some feedback for us to let us know how we're doing. And go Dogs.